Hi, I am Janelle, and this is how Jesus saved me from demons. Now, it is 5 in the morning, so I am whispering. So, this is a bit of like a little ASMR whisper story time type thing, situation deal. So, what? Okay, starting off, I was a really good kid till I just wasn't. I was raised Christian. I knew Bible verses. I knew the way of living and how to treat others. But there was still a lot I didn't understand because I was a kid. I recall being a mean kid at one point. I would hit other kids if I didn't like someone, I just didn't like them. I would tease other kids about the things I had and they didn't. Why? I don't know. I just like the feeling. And that was the evil part of me. Um, if I had food and if I was eating and there was another kid in front of me, I would tease them. I don't know why. Just listening. Don't listen to the voices in your head, but I was just listening to the damn voices in my head. I don't even know if I can blame them on the voices in my head because that was something that I just wanted to do. We do have free will. Um, not everything just causes for like, oh, it was the devil. No, it was me. um, the good part of me though, I was very sweet though. When I did do something for good, I made sure to do it with nothing but pure intentions. I I thought I was very nice. When I did have friends, I was nice to my friends. I didn't have a lot of friends, so I would play with the other kids that didn't have a lot of friends either. And you know, that would just be how it was until they eventually found someone else or I found someone else. But I wasn't a complete bad kid. I wasn't completely evil or rotten to the core. I would say that I battled the same spiritual warfare as probably any other kid. Um, yeah. I remember one time there was this girl in my classroom. I was in elementary school, and she had different skin than us. Like, by that I mean, she had, like, burn marks or scars or maybe really bad eczema all over. I can't quite remember what it was, but I remember off the top, I had never seen anyone like her. Um, and this is around the same time where I saw white people for the first time. It's crazy, but I didn't see white people in the hood until I went to school. So I kind of was just taking in how different everyone looked. And her specifically, I remember my oldest sister, she would ask her, like, what's wrong with your skin? And then my sister would kind of, I don't think she would say it in front of her, but she would just be like, ew. But I remember being kind of like, because I would talk to her and I had asked her the same thing, but I was just curious. I didn't want to offend her because I knew that it was out of her control. So I wasn't a very bad kid. I wasn't a bully. Not 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 all the time. I was a bully sometimes. So I definitely battled spiritual welfare. Um so it wasn't until I got to elementary school, like 5th grade, I want to say, 5th grade specifically, did I start noticing how bad of a person I really was. Um, I think this is when like I kind of really started stopping and thinking and questioning even the presence of God because since I was raised in a Christian household, it was like an automatic thing, like God is for sure real. But as I got older, I started looking around me and I started looking at my circumstances. And because I didn't understand a lot, I questioned so much. And when I got in elementary school, this is when I really started questioning things. I started middle school. When I got I don't remember what I just said. When I got in 5th grade, I started questioning things. I started questioning myself. I started really looking at myself and looking at the Bible and how I was living, how I used to live, how the things that I used to do as a kid, I started feeling bad for them. I started feeling like I wasn't a good Christian, like how it said in the Bible. I was starting to feel really down about these things, and I would stay up really late at night, and I would cry myself to sleep because I was terrified that I was going to hell. So I would stay up praying to God, begging Him to forgive me. And at that time, since I knew of Jesus and God, I knew of them, yes, but I didn't know how to be saved by Jesus. Excuse me. Someone wants me to shut the hell up. My throat is all of a sudden really scratchy, itchy. But what was I saying? Great. I didn't understand Jesus. I didn't have the understanding that I have of Him now. And if I had that understanding, I would have never gone through anything that I went through, that I am about to tell you that I went through. If I had already known that how to be saved by Jesus, I would have taken that. I think I would have. And I would have been very happy with myself, and I would have continued believing in Jesus the same way that I had as a kid. But I didn't have that understanding. So I think it's really important to sit your kids down and to not only tell them about Jesus, but explain to them how He is our salvation. Explain to them how to actually be forgiven for your sins, not to just say you're sorry, but how to, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, how to, the road to salvation. I don't know. I just think we just don't need do more than just be like, Jesus and God, they're real, but you have to believe in Jesus. And because there's more to that, you have to be born again in the Spirit. You can't be evil and good at the same time. You just can't have anger built up inside of you and kindness at the same time. They don't belong in our souls. And I didn't understand that. I carried a lot of anger. I carried a lot of hatred. Yeah. So as a kid, when I got into 5th grade and after I started noticing these things about myself, this is when I really started going down a very deep hole, a darker hole. So as a child, I started off only reading romance novels, adventure novels, but nothing ever too dark. In fact, I remember never really watching things about ghosts, demons until 5th grade. That's when I started sitting down and I would watch scary movies with my mom, and I started reading horror books, scary paranormal books, and I scared myself so bad. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't. I would be scared to close my eyes. And I hate when I get like that. And I'm still like that as an adult now. That's why I can't sleep, because I'm scared to close my eyes. It's different now though. I feel like I don't know why I'm scared, but I know it's different now. I just it's different now. And I'm about to explain to you why it's different. We're gonna get in there. We're gonna get in there. The story gets good. So I would read scary stories and spooking myself so bad to the point I couldn't even sleep at night, right? I was scared of God and the devil at the same time. I was scared of God and the devil at the same time. Mind you, I was praying to God that he wouldn't send me to hell. But I was also reading scary stories and filling myself up with fear of the devil at the same time. So after I started watching these things and reading these things, I started wishing that I could see them. Even though, mind you, I have always, I want to say since I was in 3rd grade, I would see shadows and things in the middle of the night because I am always awake at night. That doesn't really ever change about me. It's never really changed about me. I have always been a night owl since I was a toddler. And I would see things at night. Night terrifies me. The darkness terrifies me. And for some reason I started, but now thinking about it, I'm pretty sure because even now I'm always like, why do I always see shadows? I never see anything else. People say they see angels. I've never seen an angel, not that I know of. But I see these shadows, and I've seen these shadows since I was I want to say since 5 years old. And that's when I started realizing, I didn't start realizing what I was seeing until I was in 3rd grade. That's when I started getting scared of what I was seeing. That's when I started taking recognition that what I was seeing isn't normal. And this does have a very key factor to the story because, listen to your kids when they tell you that they're seeing these things, because maybe if someone had talked to me or sat me down and explained what I was seeing, I wouldn't have gone down the road that I went down. And I probably would have understood better, but I was always told, it's not there. You're not seeing what you're seeing. But I've seen some crazy shit that I can't explain. That the only way that you would be able to understand what I saw is that, or believe that I saw what I saw, if you saw it too. This shit scares me even just talking about it. This is not a scary story. This is not intended to be a ghost story. This is really how Jesus saved me. Okay. I'm scared. Okay. Jesus be with us even as we're telling the story. It's hard for me to tell. It is. I didn't want to make this video because I'm scared of what I saw. And the only person that could stand up to what I saw is God. I'm no match for it. So I'm scared of it. To tell you the honest to God truth. But anyways, I'm gonna continue on. I started watching super scary movies, things with ghosts and demons, and I started to wish I could see them, right? I wanted to have a special power or feel special. And I think that really stemmed from just not feeling like anything growing up. I grew up in a toxic household. Now my immediate family is fucking bleh. I don't talk to them at all. So, but not to throw shade at them or anything, but If they see this video, just know you're no better. Yeah. Humble yourself before you comment anything. But no. I grew up in a toxic household, so lots of name calling, lots of mean things. And I was never really called anything great. So I thought that if, I don't know, I just really wanted the ability to see ghosts. But as I was saying earlier, now thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure I didn't mean like demons and shit. I wanted to see friendly ghosts. Have you guys seen that show, Ghost Whisper? I thought the shit would be like that. Now, I don't remember her having too many scary paranormal encounters, but I know they would reach out to her for help. I thought I could be like fucking Ghost Whisper 2.0. I thought I could fucking help. I don't know. So this is when the fear of the devil really increased. Although I wanted those powers to see ghosts, when I saw them, they were never good. I always saw shadows. I have never seen a face or how I am today, like how some people describe seeing ghosts, like just being like a regular full physical body. I've never seen that. I have only seen darkness. In dark. Have you ever seen darkness in dark? It's eerily terrifying when you look up in the darkness and can make out something darker in the dark. I don't know. I could cry just thinking about it. It terrifies me. I'm scared. Lord be with us. I pray that he protects all of us tonight. You won't get anything bad from watching this video. I promise you. This video will help you, if anything. I'm uncomfortable. Okay. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm scared and I'm uncomfortable. The struggle. But it got so bad that, oh man, I'm scared. I'm gonna cry. It got so bad that I would see this man in a top hat. He wore a top hat and a long coat, and he would... Okay, I want to go off on his description a little bit, because I think he's called the Shadow Man. When I look up pictures of him, that's exactly what the thing that I saw would look like. Because that is what the Shadow Man wears, right? He has a top hat, a trench coat. It's long. So when I saw, and I had, okay. I'm sorry, okay, but when I would see him, I was in middle school. This is in okay, so this is around middle school time. When I started seeing him, and he would walk back and forth, right? So around this time, I didn't really have access to the internet, and even if I did, I didn't care for shit besides reading. I didn't really do a lot as a kid, but I read a lot of books. So, but I had no idea that the Shadow Man existed until years later, when I was at least around 17 years old. And it is so, I don't look up any stories about it. I don't even like looking it up online. The only way that I even know about it is because Sam and Colby. It's because Corey said that he saw something that sounded similar to the man that would literally torment me. it's terrifying to even talk about because I have to sit here and revision everything that I already went through. But I have to, and I know God is with us, and I know He wants me to get this out there for all the, even if it only reaches one person. So He would walk back and forth at the end of my bed very fast, intimidatingly, and I could hear his heavy boots. And I share a room. I'm tearing up. I shared a room with my oldest sister, and she would always fall asleep before me. So she never experienced any of this. She never experienced any of this. She never heard it. And she let me sleep with her one night, and that's it. I'm not saying it's her fault, but I can never understand why this happened to me. I was terrified of this figure that would walk back and forth. And it sucked because nighttime was like the only quiet time that I got, so I was used to staying up late, but it got worse. I started staying up later and later and later because when I would close my eyes, I would try to go to sleep. And when I would feel like I'm almost there, it would feel like someone would take their whole body in their hands and just like poof, push the bed like poof. In my bed, I would wake up, I would jump up startled, scared, fucking terrified. I'm only in 5th grade. So I eventually just stopped sleeping at night, and I would wait until the sunlight would come up, because that is the only time I would feel safe and protected. The sunlight would cast out the darkness, obviously, but it's so metaphorical now. But I would wait until I see the sunlight to go to sleep, like how I am tonight, because I was so scared. Back then, I was fucking terrified, right? Today, I don't know why I can't sleep. But back then, I was fucking terrified of this thing. But you know what's even crazier is that, mind you, I probably gave it its power in the first place to do that. As a Christian, you are not supposed to fill yourself with fear. That is not a thing that God gave you. And that is exactly what I did. I filled myself with fear. I'm sorry. But this could have been avoided. It could have been, had I had a better understanding, had I not filled myself with fear, had I picked up a Bible, had I known how to get rid of these things, had I known in the first place what was even causing it. I didn't know that it feels like she's holding my hand. I didn't know that I didn't know what I was doing. I was dumb. I was a child. And to tell you the truth, I don't think my mom knew how to prevent it either, so it's not like something that I could go to her and be like, hey, how do I stop this? Because I'm pretty sure she didn't know herself. The best thing that she could tell me was that you just aren't seeing it. So, um, so this happened every single night. And despite having to go to school in the morning, I would still stay up until I saw the sunlight, and I would just have to suffer through it through the school days. And despite being scared of being a bad person, I didn't call on God as much as I'd like to admit. I admit that when I was in bed terrified of going to sleep, I didn't pray. Because I guaranteed you, had I prayed, I probably wouldn't have been scared in the first place. But I didn't know that that when we have any problems, that we are supposed to run from them and go to God. I didn't know that, but I knew how to pray, and that was all I knew how to do. But in that moment, the last thing I thought was that prayer could help me, was that prayer was what I needed, because I didn't do it. Had I done it, I probably wouldn't have been so freaking scared. I was no longer the God-fearing person I was raised to be. I was scared. I wasn't as nice anymore either. I was never really nice, but at this point I had really given up on trying. I fought with my friends all the time. I was angry, I was jealous, and I was terrified. I didn't know who I was. I was only a child. And I didn't know how to be any of it. I was falling away from God and hadn't even known it. My life got worse. I felt more horrible about myself. So I was always a fat kid. So I felt uncomfortable at school and at home. I hated myself as a child. I hated myself. I felt disgusted as myself. Not only was I starting not to care if I was a bad person in the eyes of God, I was starting to lose faith in him, and that if he was even real, because my life was horrible in my eyes. I thought that if he were real, he'd never let this happen. This is when it started. This is my testimony. So I finished middle school at this point. I finished middle school at this point. And shit. I'm getting the shit mixed up. I don't like thinking about it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go recalculate my thoughts. Yeah. Okay, so I finished middle school at this point, and I was in 9th grade. I felt the worst I had ever felt, inside and out. I was crying constantly, having negative thoughts constantly, and I had one friend. I didn't have any friends beside one friend. I had cut all my friends off, and I basically started isolating myself from people. During lunchtime at school, I would sit in the bathroom so that I could be away from people, because I didn't have any friends and I was unwilling to make any. So I sat in the bathroom. I didn't have to be bothered with people, since I didn't have the same lunch period as my one friend. Now, she had other friends, but I only had her. And I didn't have a good relationship with my mom, so talking to her about any of this was useless. I'm not gonna get into that with her, but we argued a lot, and a lot of my loneliness could have been cured if it weren't for her. As bad as that sounds, it is the truth. But anyways, so I was still struggling to even hang on to the thought that God is even real. I didn't make an attempt to get closer to him. I stopped praying every night before bed. I only prayed when I needed him to take my pain away. My faith was way smaller than a mustard seed. It was non-existent, basically. It might as well have been invisible. I thought the location was the problem. So my mom, when she said we were moving, I was really excited. I thought I'd finally be happy in life, and maybe I could make friends, find someone that actually cared for me, because that was my biggest issue, was that I never really felt cared for. I thought this move could be God's biggest plan to lead me to success, but it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and I still struggle from this move. I still think about it mentally constantly. I still feel like I am there. Like, I got trauma from this. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm sorry. We struggled to find a place. We struggled and we almost turned back around, but we didn't. We struggled to find a place. Yeah, we struggled to find a place. We almost turned back around and decided that the move just wasn't going to work out. We were poor. We barely had money. And we just couldn't really find low income housing. It was really hard. And I remember the day that literally we were all sitting down crying because we were staying with a friend of ours, and we were just really tired. And I remember my mom was just crying and yelling, and there was a lot of arguing. I remember sitting down and I started to pray, and I remember just being like, God didn't bring us this far to leave us. So I started to pray, and literally as I was praying, my mom got out her phone and she started looking up housing, and literally she found a duplex, and she called the owner's property. Literally that same day we got the house. That should have been my biggest thing right there, but that should have been the thing that made me just stop and be like, yo, God, right there, as I'm literally praying to him, as I'm literally talking to him, made this miracle happen. But see, I didn't understand how God worked. I didn't understand how he moved. I didn't know that he moved through people. I thought that God was just gonna up and fit. I was waiting for something physical, big, grand. I didn't know any of this. So when I saw that happen, a part of me was like, damn, God, you did this. But then another part of me was like, oh, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. Message. That should have been my first message right there. But it wasn't. I was so skeptical. I was fucking dumb. Fucking loser ass, godless ass child. Well, I wasn't a child at this point. I was more like a young adult. Yeah, I was a teen. So, I remember I was so happy to have a home. It was filthy and it was gross, and it had a fucking pentagram written in the back where our washer and dryer was. Where the washer and dryer was. But my mom told us to ignore it. So that's what we did. But me, of course it would be me. It would be me. The Curious George. I'm sorry for keep breathing in the mic. I was always curious about it. And maybe that pentagram should have been my first warning right there to leave it the fuck alone. But no, I didn't. I was curious. Curiosity killed the fucking cat, guys. Curiosity killed the cat. Okay. And as soon as I took interest in that pentagram, I want to say that is when things got worse. It's when everything fucking sparked and started up. Because, you know, in my religion and Christianity, anything that is not Jesus and Christ is bad. So seeing that pentagram should have been my first sign right there, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't scare me away from it into praying. It didn't scare me into praying. It brought me towards it in a weird way. So when I looked it up online and I saw that, you know, the article was like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't mean what you think it means. It's for protection and all that. It's for everything under the sun and moon but evil, right? But God, as our creator, did not give his creation the power. He didn't give that power. He is the power. He didn't give anything else power. So the same night we moved in, this is when it gets really bad. It starts getting bad for me. The first night we move in, I don't remember what, but me and my mom, we were into it. Of course, we were arguing. She was mad at me as usual. See, I was different. I was a different kid. I don't know. Fucking testimony. This is my testimony. I was always different as a kid. None of my other siblings should. They would have never even touched witchcraft have it weren't not been for me, as disgusting as that sounds. As disgusting as that sounds. As revolting as it sounds. I feel like a bad big sister whenever I think about it, because it is true. I led my fucking siblings to witchcraft. And I honestly feel like it is my responsibility, because, man, okay, that's another story for a different time. But I don't remember what we got into it about, but I remember she made me sleep in the room by myself. It was my room, but I was supposed to be sharing it with my other siblings, but that night she took all of my siblings and they all slept in my oldest sister's room. And she left me in there by myself, and she told me to sleep in there. I'm gonna start crying again. And as I was sleeping in there, it was really dark. I remember I wasn't asleep. I was on YouTube on my phone, and I remember stopping and like looking around and just like, because it just felt off. It felt eerie, and I was just scared before I even knew what I was scared of. And so I remember looking up, and I remember looking around quite a few times. But this one particular time that I looked up, I remember, it's so scary. This shit terrifies me. I look up, and, okay. I don't know how to explain this. My closet door was one of those sliding open kind of doors, not like the ones like these that you just pull the hand and pull open. They were the slide open. So the only way to open it is if you were to push it. And when I looked up, I saw a hand come from out of the closet. I saw it come out of the fucking closet. And it's like watching a scary movie happen right in front of your fucking eyes. It comes out just like this, stops on the door handle, and starts to slowly push it open. And I'm young. I have seen scary shit before, but I've never seen anything like this. So I get up and I run to my mom. I run to the room where everyone is sleeping in. But what the fuck did I do that for? Because you know what she did? She got mad at me. Because I am always seeing things. And I'm always telling her about it. every time I see something, I'll go to my mom. Hey, Mom, I saw this. I've seen this. Guess what I saw? And this particular night, she looked at me, she got mad, and she said, yeah, you're always seeing shit. Go back in that room and lay down. She made me go back in the room. She made me go back in that room and lay down. And that's exactly what I did. But you know what I did? First I kept the room light on so that I couldn't see what was in the dark, right? And then she sent my oldest sister in there to turn off the light because she said I was going to run up the light bill. And that left me in complete darkness, and I was terrified. I was terrified. So I took my phone flashlight and I turned it on I kept it strained on the closet door just like that so that I couldn't see what was in. And I remember opening up the curtain blinds to get as much natural light from the moonlight that I possibly could. And that actually helped. And I actually did try to sleep with no light on. I did try to stay in the room without the lights on, but I was terrified. I couldn't, you can tell your child all you want that what they're seeing is not there. But what I saw was definitely there. It definitely took its hand out, and it definitely tried to push open that closet door. Now, what would have happened had I sat there long enough? Who knows? I wasn't going to sit there to find out. But, essentially, nothing happened because I did go back in that room, and I did sleep in there by myself, and nothing happened. I am still here today to tell you this story. This is my fucking testimony, man. God works in many mysterious ways, and this is a demon. That was a demon I saw. That was a demon. When I say I was tormented by demons, I was tormented by demons. I was scared to sleep. I was terrified. I felt bad mentally. It was, man. I'm going to actually explain to you how this thing looked, because it was different from all the other shadows I had seen. Yes, it was a shadow, but I can make this one out like as I'm sitting here today. No face, because it has long hair. Like, what is that movie called? What is that movie called? I have it written down. Hold on. What is it called? The Ring. It looked like the thing from The Ring, but huge. Its shoulders were very wide. It was very tall, and its hands and fingers were long. I had never seen anything like this. This was different. This was somehow more terrifying than the man that would walk back and forth by my bed every night. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. All I had to do was pray, probably, most definitely. But I didn't. Do you want to know what I did instead? I tried to fight it on my own. I tried to fight it staying awake, using lights. I tried. But I didn't see anything else from that moment on, but things got... I'm lying. I'm lying. I actually did see it again. I not only saw it, but my family also saw it. My mom did get the chance to see it, and it scared the shit out of her. And do you think she called me a liar again? Do you think she could tell me, oh, you're not seeing it? No, she couldn't tell me that anymore, because after she saw it, I knew that everything that I was seeing was there. I knew that I wasn't crazy. I knew that I don't know how to explain it, but I knew that I saw what I saw. Okay, but things got worse for me mentally, especially. I didn't feel pretty. I felt very miserable about myself. I was overweight. And at this point, I was starting to see just how ugly I was because my body didn't look like my sister's. And the names my family called me were starting to get to me. I never once called on God, though. I remember just feeling sorry for myself. I dropped out of school around this time because I was really anxious and scared of people. And this is when it really started. This is when the devil thought he had me. It wouldn't be the only moment, though. Okay. This is when the devil thought he had me. So, after I dropped out of school, oh man, I'm sorry. I just keep seeing things. I don't like when this happens. I don't know. I'm not schizophrenic. I promise you, I'm not. No, I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, no, I would just love to add that I am not schizophrenic. I'm not on medication. No drugs. I'm a normal human being. For the most part. But no, there's nothing wrong with my head mentally. I don't get a check or shit. I'm just a normal, regular girl. Woman. I'm very uncomfortable though. I wanted to add that so that because I have talked to people about this and they're just like, oh, well, have you gotten checked out? For what? For what? For what? Seriously, I have told my friends stories before and they're always like, oh, that sounds like, being all scientific, scientific, being all a bunch of fucking scientists and doctors. You're not a doctor. Oh, man. I hope you guys are comfortable. I can't get comfortable. Okay, so as I stayed in the house all the time, I only went out when my mom would wake me up to go walk my younger siblings to their school, or sometimes my aunt would come and she would take me and my younger siblings to the store. But other than that, I was inside babysitting a lot. I have more paranormal experiences, but this is not that kind of video. So maybe I'll do another video on that some other time. I don't know, but it's talking about paranormal really terrifies me. I don't like it. I don't like talking about what I saw, all the things that I've seen. So around this time, my mom gave birth to my baby sister, and I gotta put my computer on charger. Okay, I am back with a different setup. I'm sorry if this is more annoying, but I got so sick of the old doing what I was just doing. I was very uncomfortable. Okay, so during this time, my mom got pregnant. Well, first, of course, she got pregnant with my baby sister, and so while she was pregnant, though, I actually heard him. Jesus, I heard Jesus. It could have been Jesus. I don't know. Jesus or God. I really could not. I couldn't tell the difference back then. For all I knew was that I want to say that I had a hard time believing in Jesus more than I did in God, because my faith in God, I feel like, was strongest than anything, because he just never left my mind. Jesus, I could probably go all day without thinking about, but God, I never strayed away from him, and I know that that is useless because without believing in the Son, you can't go to the Father. Um, but anyways, I felt like God had told my mom to name the baby Genesis, because she was going to be she's going to be, because she's 5 now, 6, she's 6 years old now, and she is going to be really great. She's going to be the first in our family to be very great at something. I don't know what it is. And I have always felt like she's going to be really good at gymnastics and sports and things. And it's funny because even now she is very talented at doing flips. She wants to be in gymnastics, and I think it's just so cool because I had heard the Lord tell me that before she was even born. And it gets even crazier because I had never had this conversation with my mom before, but my mom had said that if she were to ever get pregnant with another girl, she would name the baby Genesis after another tragic incident with another little girl that was named Genesis, and she passed away. And my mom wanted to do that in her honor. And I had never had this conversation with my mom before. This is God speaking to me. God is real. God is real. God is good. Amen. But aside from my baby sister being born, I was miserable. I was in the house all the time, but her being born was a blessing to me because I loved babies. I still love babies. And I was just so happy there was another baby in the house. I was just really happy. That's my mom texting me now. She was asking me if I've been asleep all night. Nope. I'm scared to sleep. I don't know why. See, back then I was being tormented by demons. Now I don't know why I can't sleep. I'm scared. But, I'm sorry, this is so off topic, but I have been denying my sins, but you know what? I haven't been denying all of them. I have built up anger in me, though. And I think that that is probably one of the last attachment that still keeps the enemy around. And I feel like while he is around now, he's trying to scare me. I'm looking around because I am scared of this fucker. And he knows it too, which is even crazier. And the only person that can actually calm me is God. Man. I don't remember what I was just talking about. Yeah. But yeah. I'm scared to go to sleep, so no, I haven't been asleep all night. Okay, but anyways, back to this. So I was really sad, and my baby sister, I would babysit her all the time. A lot of the time when my mom went to work or like out of town, I would always have her, and it was just so fun, and I loved it. And my baby sister got so annoyed with me. She hated it. As a baby, she hated it. She did. She wanted her mom, but I was like, no, you're with me. But anyways, this isn't about neglect or anything, but it is important to add. But I think my mom took me outside once to go clothes shopping for my siblings for school. Since I didn't go anywhere, since I dropped out of school, my mom and grandma didn't buy me clothes. My grandma mostly bought my clothes. But once I dropped out, she didn't anymore. So I didn't have a pair of shoes or clothes. I had clothes. I had old clothes and hand-me-downs. I didn't get anything new, but now thinking about it, it's cool. I don't need new clothes or anything, but I didn't have a pair of shoes. I didn't have a pair of shoes until I turned 18 and started working for myself. Yeah, that also makes me sad just thinking about. But that is not that kind of story. But anyways, I just felt really unloved. I realized in that moment that no one wanted anything to do with me. I felt disgusted. I felt disgusting. I would cry to myself and blame myself for being born. I would hurt myself and say I deserved death. I didn't feel like a girl. I felt like a monster. I felt ugly. And I feel like as a girl, the worst thing you could ever feel is ugly. I don't know. Because every girl wants to hear that she, is attractive, and I never thought that until I became an adult, which, I still don't think I am the fucking bee's knees. That's why I keep looking at myself. But this is normal. See, everyone struggles. Everyone. It's normal. We're human. It's okay. This is my testimony. Okay. So since I was in the house a lot, I was very bored all the time. The only thing I had to occupy my time was my phone and the internet. So that's what I did. I had tried reading the Bible. I tried reading the Bible because I wanted to read it from front and back, and I did do this for like maybe a few days, but it's crazy because I stopped. I don't remember why I did. I got lazy. And I believe I also stopped praying at this point. I didn't care about God's law or anything about the Bible. I was almost there, but I had given up. I didn't pick up the Bible again after this. In fact, yesterday was my first time reading the Bible since this day, since I was probably about 16, and now I'm 23 now. Amen. It's better late than never. It's better late than never. So, there was a time I'd wake up every day and pick up the Bible, and I wanted to read it from front to back, but I slowly stopped caring. I really stopped caring at this point. I started back looking for comfort in my phone and online things. I would try and make friends online, but they'd always stop talking to me. I would always watch ghost hunting videos. Sam and Colby were my favorites. But Sam and Colby, that's all I ever watched at one point. And I went from watching their funny content to watching their scary videos. And I'm not saying Sam and Colby made me possessed, but they definitely didn't help. After watching their videos, though, I remember being scared. Scared in a weird kind. This was a different kind of fear. I would feel like things were behind me, and I'd be like jumpy like all the time, always constantly looking behind me, because it would feel like something was just behind me, especially alone in a room. And I would only feel this way after watching Sam and Colby's videos, and my mom told me to stop watching them, but I was in love with Colby. And content is content. So I didn't stop watching Sam and Colby. I actually only stopped watching them last year. I'm very loyal. Anyways, yeah, I started watching Sam and Colby, and I got more scared. I was more scared than fucking ever. Like, I was literally terrified out of my mind. And this is when I saw my first terror video. This is when it really started. That's when it really got bad. The terror video. This is when it really gets scary. It gets scary and scarier. I don't know. Like I said, I was tormented. It gets scarier. When I got involved with tarot, I saw my first tarot video, and now tarot, I knew it was bad. Tarot is a no-no. Tarot is a no-no, especially in Christianity. I knew that, but I didn't not listen. Right, I started watching tarot videos. I didn't start off right away. Since I knew it was bad, I was scared of it. But guess what? Just like at the pentagram, whatever the heck it's called, I was curious. And I just wanted to. So I asked my mom for a pair of tarot cards. And she was scared to get them, but she went and she got them. And, me being me, I looked up every excuse that there is as to why tarot cards are good, why they're okay. I looked up everything. Not everything. I think I probably saw one passage and I went with that when I read on fucking line. Guys, this almost cost me my life. When I tell y'all, I was terrified. I had dreams after this that terrifying. I had sleep paralysis in my dreams. So I got my first deck at 17. But get this, I didn't use them when I first got them. I was scared of them. So I kept them in my mom's room. And she would actually say that once I put them in there, she had nightmares and she would have really weird dreams, and she said she didn't like them. So you know what I did? I took the tarot cards and I kept them because I was hoping that they would give me a dream about my future. Now, mind you, throughout all of this, I was searching for something. God would have been enough, but I didn't go to him. That was not my first option. I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand life. I didn't understand a lot of things. And I just feel like if I had an understanding, I would have never picked up tarot cards to begin with. A year later, we move again. And I had actually made friends online through a game. And we would play together every single day. And this was like the highlight of my life for a while until, that broke off, as everything does. And then I was left lonely again with no friends. And, After they fell away, I was super sad. I still kept in touch with the one friend I had in high school, but she had friends because she still went to school, and I didn't have any friends because I dropped out of school. And even if I hadn't dropped out of school, I still feel like I wouldn't have had any friends. Either way, I would have been friendless in the equation, going to school, not going to school. Because even when I was going to school, she was still my only friend. I didn't have any other friends. But I remember being jealous of her because she had other friends to talk to, so I would stay online just looking for friends, looking for someone to fill that void. And this is when, I know I said it, this is when it gets deep, it gets dark. I got into K-pop. And the obsession with K-pop, that is a whole another video itself. But my obsession with K-pop was so bad. I spent all my time, all my effort, all my money on K-pop. At this point, God was out of the equation. I didn't care. I didn't shit. All I knew was K-pop. I thought that was love. I thought that's what loved me. It was bad, my obsession with K-pop. But this is when I started listening to tarot videos. But I was still on the edge about it. I was still scared of actually indulging in tarot, so I didn't do it. I didn't do it a lot. But then I started getting high off cannabis. I started smoking weed. Okay. Have you guys noticed that the song I can go to sleep. I don't think I'm still gonna sleep. I don't know. I'm not tired. I started getting high. That was my happiness, K-pop and drugs. One night, I couldn't get high, though. I had taken a bunch of edibles, and I just couldn't get high. I just couldn't. And these things were super potent. So normally I have to only take one or two, and I am good to go. But that night, I probably took at least like 10 different things. And then on top of that, this is what really made it kicked in. I took a roller, and give me a second. Okay, after I took that pill, I sat down, I started talking to my sister, and the more I talked, the weirder I felt. I remember my head spiraling. I felt like I was dying. And I remember my heart beating super fast, and I remember hearing different things, and I remember talking to myself. And spiritual welfare, this is what this is. Because I didn't realize it back then, but now I realize it. But I was listening to two different things. And now as I'm sitting here, I can indifferentiate that those were two different things. But back then I thought they were one. I couldn't differentiate God between the devil because I was following both of them. But that night, I remember I was terrified to go to sleep for 3 nights. I didn't sleep for 3 nights. I stayed up. I felt weird. I felt scared. So I stayed up for 3 nights, and I made my sister stay up with me. At least I made her sleep with me. But I remember hating going to sleep. I was terrified. Being scared to go to sleep is something I hate it. And yet I'm always never sleeping. There's only a few, I don't know. It's like it comes in circles in my life where I can sleep normally and then I just can't. But I still suffer from this. I still suffer from it. That's why I'm up. That's why I'm here talking to you guys. And my wig is falling off. That's why I'm wearing a wig at 6 a.m. in the morning because I can't sleep. And maybe I still very obviously am in spiritual warfare and don't really know it. I don't know. I'm gonna beat that bitch though. I believe we all can beat that bitch. I just don't know what is left. I don't know. Okay, so around this time, after staying up for 3 nights, I had decided that tarot was the way. Tarot was right because of the voices that I had heard. I remember hearing promises of like wealth, love, money, just a really good life. And I was like, tarot can give me that. Tarot is God. And I remember I didn't read the Bible anymore after that. I stopped praying to God and started praying to what tarot readers call spirit, which is the devil, by the way. One of them. I made tarot and spirituality my God. All this is happening, one thing never changed. I was more scared than ever of the devil. Notice fear is a repeating factor in my life. I was more scared than ever of the devil. I would burn sage every night and everywhere in my house for protection every single night. And I noticed if I skipped a night, I'd feel scared. I'd have even started to have sleep paralysis. This is when I started to have sleep paralysis. Before this time, I had sleep paralysis twice, but it was only in that house, and I've never had it again. Thank God. But when I was doing tarot, I've had the worst sleep paralysis. And I had never had sleep paralysis before until I started doing tarot. My dreams were not like regular dreams. That scared me. My dreams were not like regular dreams. I would be in blackness. Like, you guys know how you guys have seen Stranger Things, right? And how 11 is walking around and it's dark and then she sees things in front of her. That's exactly how it looked. That's exactly how it looked. And I would be standing there. Sometimes I would be different people. I wouldn't even be myself. And the dreams would always end horribly. I would always be scared of something. But I remember darkness engulfing me and holding me down. So I started burning sage to protect me from those dreams. I started praying to Spirit and asking Spirit to remove the demon giving me those nightmares whole time. That's the same demon that I'm praying. Okay. I'm praying to remove demons whole time. I'm praying to a demon to remove a demon. And I treated this thing like it had the same power as God. I was promised wealth, a love so great, and many things. And still to this day, I don't got none of it. I actually lost more than anything. I'm actually the poorest and the loneliest I've ever been. But it's okay. Because, I don't know. I know there's something better out there. Man. I got through the hard parts. I actually stopped writing my little script at that point. So now I gotta freeball how the story ends. Okay, but after I basically gave this thing power over my life, after I basically gave tarot the power over my life, after all of these nightmares, next was I got into arguments with my family members. We were all very prideful. We all had different things that we wanted. We all had different arguments, and to this day, we still are. Sorry, it sounds like something is out there in the damn hallway. To this day, my other siblings probably aren't bothered by it, but I argue with everyone in my family. I mean, it was horrible. I would wake up to screaming and shouting and yelling, name calling, finger pointing. It was a very toxic household. And I just couldn't take it. I wanted to die. I was begging for death. And I was also starting to question everything. I started to realize that maybe what I was doing wasn't the right way. I was terrified that maybe when the Bible said not to touch witchcraft, it probably meant not to touch witchcraft. And so I prayed to God and I asked him, if I'm going down the wrong road, send me a sign. Give me a sign. Mind you, around this time, I hated the Holy Bible. I didn't believe anything from it. When I say I'm a completely different person than I was then, because I can read the Bible now, but back then I refused to read it. I denied the Bible. I said everything in it was a fake. It was a lie. It's all rewritten. But I know one thing's for sure. Jesus is the King and Jesus is the way. He is good. I love him. And I'm so happy that I picked up the Bible. I picked up the Bible just this year. Right. So I prayed to God and I asked him, if I'm going down the wrong route, please give me a sign. And this only happened a few months ago, but I used to work in a nursing home, and one of the old ladies there, she was just sitting there, and she just looked at me. We usually talk because I don't know, I just felt she felt different. She felt real, down to earth. She didn't feel all snobby, and so I would sit and I would talk to her for a little bit normally, and that's just kind of relationship we just had. And so she looked at me one day and she was like, I don't have a problem with anyone. I love everybody. See, what people don't realize is that when God gave us this earth, he never intended it to be evil. This was meant to be our forever home. And I had looked at her because in tarot, I think this was the first time that I had heard this, that this was supposed to be our forever home. And I looked at her and I was like, you know what? She could be on to something. And she, Jehovah Witness, she didn't give me a Christian Bible. She gave me a book of translations. And she was part of Jehovah's Witness. And I still to this day don't really know what that is. And I said I was going to look into it. But I got to learn Christianity first. Okay. She gave me a Jehovah Witness. And I started looking through it. And then slowly I realized, I didn't even realize that that was the sign I was praying for. I almost missed it, honestly. Had I not, it was right in front of me, this sign. She gave me a Bible. And I was going to just take that as nothing until I got into an argument with my family. And I sat down and I realized, and I was like, damn, I asked God that if I'm going down the wrong way to show me. And he did. That conversation that I had with that lady, the way that she gave me that Bible. And ever since then, I have been praying. And I am no longer scared of demons. I don't go to sleep. I'm not scared to sleep. It's a choice. Back then, it wasn't. I had to stay up, but now I stay up because, for one, I honestly feel like there's something I'm supposed to be doing. So, I'm just up. I don't know. I keep saying, I don't know. And that's why I keep saying, like, it can't be the enemy because the enemy has to flee, right? And I have denied the enemy. I feel like I have, and I feel like the only thing that would keeping the enemy here is anger. My anger. I have anger, unresolved issues. Maybe that's why. But who's to say that it's the enemy that I am feeling? It could be God's presence, and I just don't even know it. I don't know. That's the thing. And it's my job though, and I gotta do a better job of getting closer. But I can proudly say that I'm no longer tormented by demons. At least not the way that I was before. Not the way that I was before. And all it took was one conversation with someone. That lady made me realize so much in just those words. She said, God never intended for us to die. And I looked at her and I was like, whoa. I don't know, it just resonated in my soul. And from that moment on, I just felt like I've got to go to him. I've got to get closer to him. I'm going to cry. I've got to get closer to him. I got to go to him. And that's what I did. And guess what? He moved me from a very toxic household. And now I don't have to see the people that would call me out of my name, that would yell at me, that make me so angry anymore. I don't. My life is definitely not perfect. I definitely still do get scared. But I'm no longer tormented. I have so much understanding in just this small amount of time that 23 years has never given me. And that's all because I picked up a damn Bible. That's all because I picked up a Bible. Alright. I hope you guys like this video. It is very long. I didn't mean for it to be this long. I've got to edit all of this.